In this video, we'll begin to take a closer look at introducing the skill of walking on a loose leash to a puppy from the very beginning by breaking it down into different training games. If you're working with a puppy that will soon become a large dog like a German Shepherd, as I am, you have to keep in mind that they will quickly get strong, which can be physically overwhelming if you don't have a solid foundation developed with this skill. Even though young puppies are not able to go on long walks, it's important to take this time to work on the building blocks of loose leash walking at home, at first in a very low distraction environment. This will prepare you for the training that you will do once your dog is a little bit older. What we have been working on over the past few weeks is isolating components of loose leash walking into mini exercises and fun training games that we can play and build upon. The idea for this training is to be very easy and simple so that the dog can figure out how to be successful and when. If you train leash walking using engaging games, you're teaching your dog not only the crucial skill of walking without pulling, but you're also developing the dog's capacity to be focused, to pay attention, and to take their cues from you. Remember that we want the dog to enjoy and want to be next to us. For most situations, a harness will be the most appropriate tool. Although it is not necessary at this stage, you can switch to a flat collar when doing these exercises so the dog starts to learn the feel of walking with a leash. We want to avoid using the flat collar all the time when we're not training leash walking, because until the dog has begun to master this skill, they could be accidentally getting reinforcement for pulling, which will undo all the work that you're doing. Using a harness also allows you to have a more gentle restraint on the dog in those situations where you need a bit more control. If the dog suddenly becomes distracted or decides to lunge at something that you're unprepared for. One of the games that can be very useful to play is to teach the puppy to tolerate and even enjoy the act of putting on and taking off the harness. Often dogs don't like the loop of the harness being pulled over their head and ears, and if you just force this, the dog will experience it as an aversive and can start to avoid or move away from the harness, which is something that we want to avoid teaching.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Before you play this game, make sure that your dog is comfortable with touch and spend some time working on calm handling exercises. If you'd like to learn more about how to do that, check out my video on demonstrating that skill, which I'll link in the description box. In this game, we're going to be conditioning the dog to the action of reaching and grabbing the harness or collar. There will be times when you may use this equipment as a way to physically restrain your dog. Teaching your dog to view these moments as positive events can make it a more cooperative experience. Collar. 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 This will also help reduce the chances that your dog will bite or nip at the sight of approaching hands. One element of loose leash walking is teaching the dog to stay close to you. Start playing this game in a low distraction setting. Reward your dog for moving with you or staying close to you as you move away. Increase the number of steps that you take as you move away from your dog. Notice that I'm not using the dog's leash at this point. We are just working on staying close. Across multiple sessions, you should be able to get to a point where your dog sticks with you even as you move away. You can see that Star is very motivated to play this game with me. I always make sure whenever I take my dog to a new environment to first give them lots of time to sniff and check out the area before asking them to work. Now, in order to walk on a leash, the dog has to understand how to respond when there is pressure on the leash. If we are using the leash as a tool to keep the dog away from things that they want to move towards, this can be counterproductive. We want to teach the dog instead to move into leash pressure as opposed to against it. One way of doing that is to gradually introduce very slight pressure and show the dog that by moving towards the tension, they can earn reinforcement like food or even things in the environment that they want to interact with. If you play this game enough over time with your dog, they will naturally respond in this way. The puppy version of this game is very basic, and we can even use cookies to introduce this concept at first. Once your dog begins to understand the concepts we are targeting with these games, you are ready to move on to more advanced loose leash walking exercises. Many dogs will begin to understand and put together these basic games into longer patterns that resemble loose leash walking. Let's go. Keep in mind at this very early stage that it's not reasonable to expect your puppy to walk like this for very long periods of time. It's best to keep these sessions very short and always allow your dog to engage with their environment and move freely whenever possible. Loose leash walking is a lifelong process, and every dog will have their own strengths and challenges with it. If you'd like to see more of my training with Star as she learns these intermediate skills that build on these games, you can check out our Patreon page where I have exclusive content of our everyday training sessions. And if you found any of the suggestions in this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel, and let me know in the comments below how leash training has been going with your puppy. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.